My comrades, we shall never forget. Una mitra di yaad pyari, the memory of our comrades and friends. Has has laye haniyon, jina has jindadi wari, yaro sanu nayo bhulni. Those who with a smile on their face sacrificed their lives, we shall never forget. My friends, the fundamental question Marx was concerned with was how to end the exploitation of the vast majority of humanity. His critiques of capitalism, and not just capitalism, but all preceding systems, his observations of the Paris Commune, his observations of the revolutions of 1848 inevitably led him to the conclusion that the class struggle would lead inexorably to a communist society. This was not a question of mere interpretation, but also a call to action. The Paris Commune, he felt, was the path that could solidify working class power. But what does it mean to end exploitation? For Marx, it meant nothing other than the abolition of property. But not all property. Property that was used to exploit people, the monopolization of the means of production. If this appears to be something unimaginable, it needn't be. It can be just as simple as walking down the street, enjoying the street light whistling on the pavement, which does not belong to any individual but belongs to society as a whole. As Marxists, we must be clear that our primary mission is to transfer the means of production out of the hands of the exploiting class, the capitalists, the billionaires, the oligarchs, and into the hands, the collective hands of the working class. If we fail to do this, we will merely be achieving what Hugo Chavez called capitalism with a human face. Here is what the great Marx wrote on the Paris Commune. He said, quote, "Yes, gentlemen, the Commune intended to abolish that class property which makes the labor of the many the wealth of the few. It aimed at the expropriation of the expropriators. It wanted to make individual property a truth by transforming the means of production, land and capital, now chiefly the means of enslaving and exploiting labor, into mere instruments of free and associated labor. But this is communism, impossible communism. Why? Those members of the ruling classes who are intelligent enough to perceive the impossibility of continuing the present system, and there are many, have become the obtrusive and full-mouthed apostles of cooperative production. If cooperative production is not to remain a sham and a snare, if it is to supersede the capitalist system, if united cooperative systems are to regulate national production upon a common plan, thus taking it under their own control and putting an end to the constant anarchy and periodical convulsions which are the fatality of capitalist production, what else, gentlemen, would it be but communism, possible communism? Therefore, there can be no talk of the building of communes that are not in their very essence revolutionary. A true revolutionary commune represents the working people and at the same time organizes the productive forces, organizes the economy itself. But how can these communes, what will they look like? How can they come about in the context of different societies? It was the Franco-Prussian War and the defeat of the French that brought about the Paris Commune, as we know from history. But it needn't proceed that way. In different countries of the world, this new form of social organization, communes, will come through a different path. And Chavez also remarked in 2005, he said, quote, "In Venezuela, at the beginning of my presidency, many of my supporters criticized me and asked me to go at a faster pace, to implement changes and to be more radical. But I considered that it was not the right moment because each process has several phases and different rhythms that not only have to do with internal situations in each country, but with the international situation at the time." This reflects what Marx also wrote earlier when he said, and I quote, "The working class did not expect miracles from the communes. They have no ready-made utopias." Utopias, unquote. Utopias are for the utopian socialists, not for Marxists. They have no ready-made utopias to introduce per decree to do people. They know that in order to work out their own emancipation, and along with it that higher form to which present society is irresistibly tending by its own economical agencies, they will have to pass through long struggles, through a series of historic processes, transforming circumstances and men. They have no ideals to realize. I cannot emphasize this enough. They have no ideals to realize but to set free the elements of the new society with which old collapsing bourgeois society itself is pregnant. To put another way, as Marx said, communism is not an ideal, it is the real movement of the working people. That means that in each country, the path to communism will be inevitably different. It will not emerge out of the imagination of a single individual. Rather, it will emerge out of the objective and subjective conditions of each society. In Pakistan, we have a very tough situation. In Afghanistan and Pakistan, as you may already know, the forces of counter-revolution with the help of imperialism won a decisive victory over the left in both countries. You must know that in Afghanistan today, the government denies girls above grade 3 any form of education or the opportunity to work in jobs, employment, etc. So whereas on the one hand, Venezuela has a huge left-wing movement, 97% literacy, and a government that is pushing forward communes, the socialist agenda, and so on. My country is in a different stage of history and in a very complex situation. We have many different languages. We have lived under military dictatorship for many years, just as Venezuela has as well. We are in the midst of reverting to one as I speak already. And most importantly, the forces of counter-revolution, the right-wing forces, religious